he had the means. Jesus, with all the power that he has, how does he use the power? He used the power to cleanse the leper, to open the eyes of the blind, to heal the sick, even to raise the dead. Which goes to tell us he did this, and he did this so often. 3/4 of his ministry is in healing, restoring, cleansing, forgiving. That tells us that it is God's will. That something has gone wrong with mankind. Man has sinned, and sin has brought in disease, destruction, depression, becoming decrepit, and finally death. It was never part of God's plan. God calls death an enemy. Hence, we have the story of Christmas. It's all planned by God. So back to the story of that inn, the caravanserai. It was originally the house of Boaz and Ruth, and then David, their great-grandson, royal grandson, David. And then from David actually gave it to Barzillai, a man who was very kind to David when he was wandering, fleeing. And that man, the elderly man, was a wealthy man. He was very kind to David. David gave to his son, called King Ham, that inn, that his own house, that later on became to be known. In the Old Testament, you can find this. It began to be called, on the way to Bethlehem, there is a King Ham inn. That word there is caravanserai. Later on, it became the center in Bethlehem where people would travel for, pilgrimage to Jerusalem. They'll stop there. So you think about it. Mary and Joseph from the line of David, actually they had the right to have the presidential suite there. Am I right? But there was no room for them in the inn. It doesn't say there's no room. There's no room for them. They're poor. One look at that, and you think about, if I give up that room, somebody else might come who is able to pay for it. So there's no room for them in the inn. Did they fight it? Did they say, don't you know who I am? No, this is a beautiful picture of humility. If I were to write the story of the Christmas, it would be like this. All right? On a mountain, there was glowing. There was lightning and thunder. And there was a crack of a loud sound. And all of a sudden, you see a strong being shining bright with a sword glittering. And he steps down. He has 8 packs. And it comes down with big biceps. Amen. He takes off his royal robe and he says, I've come to be a man. You cost him at least to be born. He's going to be born in a palace. But Jesus was so kind, even to children. He chose to be a child, to come from the very beginning of mankind's life. He didn't come just drop down, even to become a man. He can just become a full-grown man, isn't it? Like Adam. Adam was created a full-grown man. Good morning again. But Jesus came. This is the day that the Lord hath made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. I think there's lovely humility. There's lovely humility. A child might be thinking, does Jesus understand me? Every stage you are at, Jesus understands you. You got a child at 6 years old, you can tell him Jesus was once upon a time 6 years old. Amen? If you have a child that's 12 years old, you can say Jesus one time was 12 years old. In fact, there's a story